This video is about confirmatory factor analysis or CFA. In other words, I want to show you how to assess your measurement model. As we already have seen, as we already have discussed, this is the model that we want to test in this research. And I already showed you how to construct a CFA model or how to assess the measurement model. So this is the this video is about confirmatory factor analysis or CFA. In other words, I want to show you how to assess your measurement model. So as we already know, this is the model we want to test with 5 variables here that predict attitude and then intention to use AMOS. And we already discussed to test the model, first we need to assess the measurement model. And this is the measurement model that you need to draw in AMOS. So there are all constructs, all constructs are in the model and all have been covariated with all the measurements, or in other words, items. And then when you draw this and you link the data file, I will show you later, then what you do is you test the model, and by one click you get the results as you can see here. So all our factor loadings here, and you see the correlation between the factors. Then we assess the model fit and reliability and validity, and we improve the model. As you can see, we have covariated some error terms, we removed one of the items to improve the model fit. And when the model fit is good, and here as you can see the results, it seems it's good, then we take the model to the next stage, which is structural quotient modeling, and we test the hypothesis. So the focus of this video, this one, is on this model, assessing the measurement model, right? CFA, confirmatory factor analysis. So what do we do in this stage, measurement model assessment? We estimate the factor loadings, and then we check to make sure they are strong enough. So the threshold we usually use is 0.5. This means we remove any factor loading less than 0.5 because we would say it's too weak, right? The factor loading is too weak. And then we assess the model fit, and then we re-specify the model to improve the model fit, and then we assess reliability and validity. So if you're ready, I want to show you how in AMOS you can use, how you can do all these 4 steps. So you, as I already told you, you you open, let's see, AMOS graphics. You need to use AMOS graphics, and this is my AMOS graphics. And what I need to do now is to draw this model. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 constructs, and each of them have between 5 to 6 items or questions to measure. So what I do always is first I check I change the size of my working area to, here I prefer portrait, so I change it to portrait A4. And now I spend some time and draw a very beautiful constructs with this tool, which draws latent constructs. I already have shown you in another video how to use the toolbox. Now we rotate it here. I just quickly draw one model, and oops, because I didn't select the preserve symmetries. Now I can move all together, and I change the size. You see, all are moving together. Do you know why? Yes, you know, I'm very happy about your progress. The reason is because I selected the preserve symmetries. Otherwise, you see, otherwise they move independently. So make sure this has been selected when you are working on a construct. I believe this is okay. Maybe I can make it even a bit bigger, something like this. Yep, okay. Maybe I can, yeah, I think it's good. So what I do is now I have a beautiful a beautiful construct. So what I do is I copy. So when you want to copy again, make sure preserve symmetries have been selected. Otherwise, only one object will be copied. You see, only one object will be copied. So I select preserve symmetries and then I copy. So I need 7 constructs. And the last one here. Okay. One is out of the area, but that's fine. We will correct it later. Now, some of them had 5 items. The first one, subjective norm, job relevance. Most of them have, no. Okay, subjective norms, job relevance. We need to drop one of the items. Okay, if I drop this one, you see one of the, let me show you. Which one? One has been fixed. One of the factor loadings has been fixed at 1 because we use this tool. So very good. This is what we want. But when you want to drop one of the items, if I drop this, the one with fixed at 1, I need to fix another one at 1. So what I do is I need to check which one is fixed at 1. So I use the move parameters and then put my mouse over here. Okay. So the last one is fixed at 1. So what I do is I don't delete this, so I just remove another one, maybe this one, right? Because it has 5 questions, right? And then for image, there are 6, no issue, job relevance the same. So job relevance, again, I delete this one. So let's see what happens if I delete this one. If I delete this, so now none of them are fixed at 1. So what I need to do is I need to fix one of the factor loadings at 1. Double click on the path. You get the objective properties window, let's say, and then click on parameters tab. There is regression weight, fix it at 1, then close, and done, right? So make sure at least, not exactly 1. So make sure one of the factor loadings has been fixed at 1. Next one, 5 items again, right? Job relevant quality is 5. So here again, I remove this one. Then trust also 5 and 6 and 6. Okay, so in terms of number of items, preserve symmetries. In terms of number of items, it seems it's fine. So okay, now suppose I want to move all together to shift them a bit up, but let's see what happens. I select all by clicking here, all have been selected, and now Lori, you see what happens? You see? Why? Because I have selected preserve symmetries, and at the same time I've selected all. So we are confusing the software. The software is not that smart, right? So what I do is I remove preserve symmetries and select all, as I did already. Now, you see all have been highlighted. Now I move, so all will be moved. Now, okay, I deselect all, and that's fine. You may still work on it to improve, to make it more beautiful. For example, I click here on the drag properties tool, and then I want to, you see, this is a bit, it's not exactly in the middle of the items. So what I do, let's say, y coordinates, I drop the properties from here to here. So it put it based on the y coordinate property characteristic. It put, you copy paste the y coordinate of this object on this. Here the same. I want to, because I remove one of the items now, it's not really symmetry. So I drag and drop, right? And here it's fine, right? Okay. Now, what's the next step? The next step is, again, let me put all here. The next step is deselect. You remember I said all these constructs must be correlated. So this is the tool we need, right? So be careful. If I'm drawing like this. Sometimes you start from this, so it draws it on the other side. If you want to move, you just select the change shape and then move it, right? But So it depends on the how you draw. If you start from here, go here, it's like this. If you start from here to here, it's like this. But this may take a lot of time to draw one by one. Now I want to show you a trick. Just select all these, make sure all have been highlighted. Now all are in blue, and all these constructs. Then go to plugins. I have a long list of plugins because I have installed many. And there is a video about how to install the plugins. Watch that video. But by default, you should have the plugin that I want to use now, which is Draw Covariances. You see, all with one click. So this is a good trick. Now, what I do, you see all have been selected, all are blue. They are out of the space, so make sure this has been selected. The change shape object, change shape tool has been selected. It means it has been highlighted. As you can see, there is a blue area around the tool, and then you just click on one of them. It's red now. It means I can move it, any of them, and then click and move your mouse. So you hold it and then, yep, leave the mouse, and now deselect all. So this is my model done. Now, what is the next stage? Name the unobserved variables, name the latent constructs. So I double click here and then go to text, name it. The first one is subjective norms. So don't forget, no space here, but here maybe you want to make it more beautiful. Okay, you can use space in variable label. I even enter here. So what variable name cannot have space, or you cannot enter here. Then no need to close the window. Just click on the next one. You get the objective properties for the second one that you have selected, and this one is image. I don't need to give any label to it because the name is fine here. Job relevance. So I click on the next one, I get it, job. And you may want to give a label to make it just more beautiful. Then click on the next one. The next one is output quality. So I name it output quality. And again, so label is not compulsory. It's just if you want to use space or give a beautiful name. Maybe, you know, you just want to give trust, TRU, as the variable name. Then here you write trust. Oh, sorry. Forgot to click here on the next one. Now, trust. And no need to any label because the name is fine. Then next one, intention. I click here. Intention. Next one, attitude. And yep, so now I have the model. You may ask, so where I got this? Because when you want to test your model, you don't have this. I mean, your research, right? This is actually this one. I just put all constructs together next to each other, as you can see, and I know how I measured them, right? You have a questionnaire already. You know, subjective norms have been measured with 5 questions. So, okay, just something came to my mind. Guys, don't forget when you are doing any type of data analysis using these methods, I mean, you use some, you measure some construct with items. If there is any reversed question, means all questions, for example, for customer satisfaction, all questions are addressing, are you satisfied, are you happy? Then one question is reversed. For example, do you, I do not like this product, and then on 1 to 5. So one of the questions, if it's reversed, before doing any data analysis in the data cleaning stage, you need to reverse it. You need to reverse. If it's 1 to 5, change 5 to 1, 4 to 2, and then 3 will remain the same, then and so on, right? So you need to reverse the coding for the reverse item question, and then you continue. So even before replacing the missing values, my suggestion is just make sure that the reverse items have been reversed, right? So we do not want any reverse coding, reverse values in our data. Anyway, it just came to my mind. So I believe the model is ready. Oh, one more. Sorry, the error terms. The next step is to give a name. You can double click, give a name again to each of them, but error terms names are not really important. We don't care what names we give them. So there's a plugins, again, plugins. There is one is called name unobserved variables. Where is it? Name unobserved variables, right? You should have it by default when you install AMOS. When I click, it will give just names, from 1 to 38. And why we need to do this after giving names to latent constructs? Because latent construct names are important. If you first name the error terms before naming the latent construct will get a random name too. Because any latent variable, any unobserved variable will get a name. So we already fixed the names of these constructs that are important for us. So the software will only name the error terms. Now, how to name these factors? You may double click and name them, but we don't want this. This takes time and it's not really a good way to do it. What you need to do is, okay, let me save the file first. Maybe I can save it here. I name it Siri Workshop. Create a folder for my files. I name it CFA and save. Right. Now, the next step is link. We need to link the data file to our model. So when you draw the model, when you are done with drawing the model, the next step is you need to link the data file to your model. So how to link the data file? There is a tool here, select data files, click, and then here file name. So where is your data file? My data file is here. So I name the data file. The data file we want to use is actually the data file that we cleaned already in previous videos. So it's workshop clean data. So click workshop clean data, open. And you see there are 301 cases. We already knew this, right? And then, okay. So now the data file has been linked to this model, right? To your, to your model. Now what we need to do is we need to tell the software, we need to link each of the measures, each of the items to its respective measure or box in this model. So what we do is here, there is something called list variables in data set. I click here, I get this window. It's too small. Yeah. So this is the list of all variables you have in the model, you have in your data file, all variables you have in your data file. So if we had not linked the data file to our model, we could not get anything here because we first linked it. Now we have the list of all variables in the data file. So what we do next is we just drag and drop the questions on the respective box or observed variable. So we know there are subjective norms are for subjective. So when you are dropping, okay, let me zoom in. When you are, it's drag and drop. Click and then hold the button of the mouse and then drag, put it over the object you want to drop it and then drop. So make sure that when you want to drop, the object you have selected has been highlighted in red. You see it's red now. Otherwise, it will be dropped somewhere else. And sometimes you don't see where you have dropped it and then you cannot run the model. So when it's red, then drop it. And now actually we are doing two things. Number one, giving names to the observed variables in the model. So no need to double click on each object and give a name manually to it. So we are giving names. Number two, we are linking, we are telling the software which of the variables in the data file are linked to which of the boxes here. It means output quality 1 we are telling the software the data we have in this column in the data file is related to this box, means output quality, the first question. So we just drag and drop all the data we have. And as I said, I would say that one of the main problems happen when you are doing this is you drop it somewhere else, and you see I dropped it here. Sometimes you don't see it. So let me introduce this. Sometimes you don't see where you have dropped it, and this is the issue. Then you run and you get error and you don't know, especially in big models. This model is not really that big. There are many models that we test these days are much complicated, they're complex and big, so there are so many variables, factors in the models. Then it's very difficult to find the mistake. So be patient here and do one by one. Okay, the only difference between this data file that we used and the previous one we cleaned is I have added gender in this data file as well. Anyway, so we are done. Now what I did, let me show you what I did was I clicked on this one, means resize the pattern to fit in the page. So we just want to fit it into the page and we get this. Doesn't matter, it's just a matter of how you see it, right? How it's shown. It is shown. So what I do is I save the model. Okay. And now we want to run the model. So the model is ready. This is your CFA model. Now let's run the model. How to run the model? There is something here called ANSYS properties. So make sure you first click, and then you see there are some tabs here. For example, estimation. You remember we discussed this. There are different estimation methods. One of them is maximum likelihood, and I told you by default is maximum likelihood. Usually no need to make any changes in any of them when you want to run CFA. Just go to outputs. The only one that you need to make changes is output. So none of them needs to be changed. The only one that you need to check is the output tab. So when you click, there are different options available here. This shows what do you want to be reported. So by default, it's maximum minimization history. Okay, we don't care about it actually. What else do we need in CFA stage? What I usually select is standardized estimates, because I need to get the standardized values for factor loadings. Squared multiple correlations is R square. As here we do not have any path, it's okay if you don't select it. If you select, it will just compute the R square of all of these factor loadings, and it's not really important for us. And I usually select residual moments, modification indices, and test for normality and outliers. So usually these are the 5 things that I select. Yeah, so I mean by default it's like this. But okay, later you may, maybe after a few months, you forget which one you need to select, and then you have to again check my video or notes. But no need, you can select all of them. It does nothing happens. It just gives you more reports, right? But this is the minimum that you need to select, right? The minimum that you need to select to run CFA. Then there's no OK button again. You just close the window and you run the model. How to run the model? You click on the next one. So you see these 3 are, they sit together. First you select the data file, then you tell the software what output you need, and you then perform the test, calculate estimates. So when I click on calculate estimates, the software will do all calculations, and when you get this red button, this means it was successful. Congratulations, you could get the results. So when this is not red, this means that you could not run you could not get the results, and there is an error, there is a mistake, there is an error you need to check. So the errors that you may usually get is, for example, you may, as I said, drop one construct somewhere else, not on the respective box. You may put space in the construct names, or sometimes the name you give to these latent construct like image. The name you give here is the name of a variable in your data file. This is a common mistake. It means in your data file, you have a column named image. Although we have not used it, but the software, because it's linked, and the data file has been linked to this model, it confuses the AMOS. So this is another issue may happen. And some of the other issues are, for example, you forget to fix one of the factor loadings at 1. So these are the common issues that you may face. So you need to check them one by one. And then you run again, and hopefully you get the red arrows here. And now you have, there is a panel here. First of all, you got all the results here, as you can see. And you have a panel here. You can switch between standardized and unstandardized estimates. So what is the difference between standardized and unstandardized? Standardized means they have been standardized. It means they are not dependent on the scale that you have measured them. So the values will change between -1 to 1. And for unstandardized means the scale matters, right? So the value can be, as you can see here, it's greater than even 1, right? 1.17, and it depends on the scale you use. So we use standardized estimates because when you use standardized, as I said, the value is independent from the scale you use, and it changes between -1 and 1, and you can have a threshold to make decisions. And here the threshold that we want to use, the thing we want to check is the factor loadings. The standardized factor loadings should be greater than 0.5. We already discussed this right here. Factor loadings should be greater than 0.5. So this is the first thing we check. Factor loadings greater than 0.5. So anyway, this is how we run run the CFA model and CFA test, confirmatory factor analysis. And in the next video, I want to show you how to assess the result, how to assess the measurement model, how to check the model fit, factor loadings, and how to improve the model fit.